The philosophy of Upanyas, chapter 4. Development of concept of Brahma. At the earliest cosmologies started with the one thing and another, but always one particular thing, posted as a primary entity, the breath. Again, the Maitri, we find a statement verily in the beginning that the world was Brahma. And also the old cosmology, especially in the Rig Veda and the Brahmanas, also the Upanyas, procreation was adopted in a specific analogy, the world production. He desired, would I were many, let me procreate myself. He performed austerity. Having performed austerity, he created the whole world, whatever there is here. It should be noticed that consciousness, which was absent in the water and space cosmologies, they are opposed to for production of the world, also the creation of the world, the Puranas hymns. Although the Brahmanas is act of religious significance accumulated by ceremonial rites. In last fact, it is not unnatural when a situation is considered. Every undertaking was important that had to be preceded by sacrifices and austerities in order to render it auspicious. The greater the importance of the affair, such as beginning of a war is going on a journey, the greater was the need of abundant sacrifice. And if sacrifice was so essential and efficacious for the human affairs, would it not be equally necessary and efficacious for so enormous an undertaking as the creation of the world? This consideration probably had to greater weight in the view of the meaning and historical importance of the word Brahma, which now therefore henceforth was employed as the designation of the world crown. In the Rig Veda, Brahma seems to have meant the hymns, prayer, and the sacred knowledge and magic formula. It is very sense it is used in Upanyas, the date as well as the component of Brahma, but possession of magic formulas and Brahma Varkasa, superiority in the sacred knowledge. It is so significant the power it is so inherent in the hymns, powers and sacred formulas and sacred knowledge. In this later meaning, it was the induced in the application of the world to the world ground, power that create and prevailed and upheld the totality of the universe. And how difficult it was to preserve the penetration philosophical insight that was discerned and efficiency, the power that Brahma underlying the world, or insight which dare to take the world from the religious connection and infuse into the philosophical connotation will be shown in the recorded attempts to grasp the stupendous idea, all of which fell back because of the figurious thinking into the old cosmologies, which is the very Brahmana theory itself intended to transcend. The unknowing character of the newly discovered being and the idea that only by the will do ever the god perform their function. In indicated of the legend contained in the key Upanyas, Brahma appeared to the gods, but they did not understand who it was. They deputed Agni, the god of fire, to ascending his identity. He, wanting of his power to burn, was challenged to burn a straw but was baffled. Upon this unsuccessful return to the gods, Vayu, the god of wind, was sent on the same mission. He boasting this power to blow away anything away. Likewise challenged to blow a straw and likewise baffled. To Indra, the next delegate, the beautiful woman, allegorized by the commentary, a wisdom explained that the incognito was Brahma, though whose power of the gods was exalted and enjoyed greatness. To Indra, the next delegate, the beautiful woman, alleged by his commentary as wisdom explained that the incognito was Brahma, though whose power of gods were exalted and enjoyed greatness. In birth, Vajnaya Valkya was pressed to further pressed by the Shakalya in the state of real number of gods. In willing be reduced the seven steps. The popular number of 3000 306 God was one, and one was Brahma, the only God. But apart from the religion, it was difficult for the ordinary person to understand who and what was Brahma was. Gargi, Garhi, one of the two women of Upanyas who philosophized taking up the old water cosmology and asked the which Na Valkya, the most important philosopher of Upanyas, on what pray the water woven Vrapan, he replied, the atmosphere rules. One being asked again, on what then pray? Are the atmosphere world woven war or a wolf? He says, Kantharva world, the world of spirits. The regressus has been entered, and the Ujna of Valkya plays somewhat the part of Loki's poor American Indian philosopher. With this tortoise and elephants are so far to the world's last standing ground. Here he takes the Gargi back to the worlds for the sun upon which the Kantharva world are the woven, and then it turns the world from the moon and worlds of the star, the worlds of the god, the worlds of Indra, the world of Prajapati, the worlds of Brahma. On what then prey are the worlds of Brahma, woven, warf, or woof? Gargi did not question too much, lest your head fell off. In truth, you are questioning too much about the divinity, about the future. Further questions cannot be asked. Gargi did not over question. Thereupon, Gargi ceased to question. It is rampant the old space cosmology joined with the Brahma theory. When Brooke it stated that Brahma is either the ether primeval or the ether the blue. A little more later it was said the Brahma in life. Brahma is joy, Brahma is void, and the abundance is various of being in the world grown, which must be the ground of physical and the mental life. Person is approached in tight. As instruction successfully given by the Brahma is food, Brahma is breath, Brahma is mind, Brahma is understanding, and Brahma is bliss. And since out of each of those as from the world grounds and thinkings are born, but these they live up to those they enter into depending tense. There are four other passages where attempts are expressly made to defend Brahma. Breath. I renowned Brahma. Garkaya, the Balaki, comes to Ajatasatru, king of Benares, and volunteered to tell him the Brahma. A wealthy king, he is emulation of the lavish Janaka, offered 1,000 cows for such exposition. Gargya explained that Gargya explained that he entered the person in the sun as Brahma. Talk not to me about the Brahma. Ajatasatru protested. He venerated as Brahma, the supreme head and the king of all being. Then Gargayu said that it is also when that the person in the moon was Brahma. Ajatashrut, Ajatashatru again protested against. Inadequate such conception of Brahma, he venerated it was a great white robed king Soma. That is the person verifying the moon. Again, Kagaya comes another definition of Brahma, namely, as a person is in the lightning, and again, Ajatashatru condemned his statement inadequate by declaring that venerated as Brahma, the brilliant one, the principle of brilliance, not only the lightning, but in all the brilliant things. So the two converse back and forth. Gargaya successfully giving new definition. Ajatas through declaration is inadequate with the bordered consumption which includes when beyond Gargaya, and it is the same time deduction is a practical benefit to any who held upon consumption. Gargaya conception of Brahma as a person the space was complemented by the conception of Brahma as the full. Non-active, the person is the wind, Indra, but the terrible and the con- unconquered army. The person is the fire, by the vanquisher. The person is the water, by the counterpart of all phenomenal object. The person is the mirror, by the shining one. The sound which follows from one by life. Person is the quarter of heaven, by the inseparable companion. The person consists of shadow by death. The person is the body by the embodied one in all. 12 conception of Brahma which exhaust the Gargaya and Balaki's speculation of subject. He, the challenger, the professional philosopher, then requested instruction from the vanquisher, who he was noted again was not a Brahman but Kshatriya, a man belonged to second caste. Ajatashatru called attention of the anomaly of Brahmins coming to Kshatriyas for instruction. He consented to make him know clearly his comparatively new and not fully comprehended conception of Brahma. He verily, O Balaki, who is maker of all those persons, whom you have mentioned in succession, of whom the Kaishu, which is evidently another version of the same dialogue, there is 16 consumption, person in the quarter of heaven being omitted in the Brit Aranyaka list of being added the person in thunder. Now, verily, this is the word. He verily should be known, the Kaushu, with the illustration of the hands of man walking from the sleep. Ajatashtro shown that finally Brahma is to be conceived of us, that into which one goes to sleep and from which one wakes up again. The conclusion is as a spider might come out with the thread and small sparks comes forth from the fire, even so from a soul come forth all vital energies, all worlds, all God and all beings. The mystic meaning, the Upanyas, there is a real of the real. This is the most important passage, for it is the first Upanyas where the conception of Brahma is subject to regressive analysis leading to the conclusion which obtains throughout the remainder of Upanyas, except as to the further subliminal. It is following points are to be noted. The old cosmology according to which the world ground was to be discovered some particular phenomenal object and subject was still clung to and for of Brahma. The newly postulated world ground it is found in one and another individual object such as sun, the moon, the lightning, the space, the fire, water and so forth. They are transcended however. Insofar as the objects are not regarded as themselves of the stuff out of which the world was fashioned, but looked upon only a habitation of the world ground which is also a person locally lodged. Such a conception of the first disputed in the correction of the second, pointing out the world's ground cannot be the substract of only certain particular phenomenon. That is, several principles must be referred back to a single one. Who is the maker of the person and to whom this universe is the work? And more importantly still, what if one would come close to the apprehension of the world's ground? It is chiefly to be known as an upholder of its own cyclical, psychical existence through the period of sleep. This is the soul, Atman, and the soul is the source of all existing things and the vital energies, the worlds, God, all beings, which is the actual to be the sure, but actual only becomes it is a real. The very great advantage of a conception of the world ground is here made. The doctrine is reached, for which most of the later dialogues are further exploitation. There are two other dialogues, however, which are the similar succession of definition, and the correction arrives at the same fundamental conception of Brahma. The breath, the Janaka at Vajna Valkya requested states the various philosophical theories that had been propounded to him. Six different conceptions of Brahma taught by different teachers are this elicited. Further, the Brahma is a speech. This is well evidenced, replied Vajna Valkya But it is saying no more than that one had a mother, a father, and a teacher without explaining the seed and support of the speech, such as Brahma is one legged. Vajnavalkya was supplied the deficiency of explanation that the seat was speech. It supports space and it should be reverenced as intelligence. For the speech, all things are known. Similarly, theory of Brahma was breathe was approved as true, but condemned as inadequate and supplemented by the explanation that breathe was its seat, space and support, and as should be reverenced as dear, since the breath of life is dear. So Brahma is a sight, the eye is a seat, the space is support, and it should be reverenced as the truthfulness. Since the eye see truly, the Brahma is hearing, the ear is a seed, the space is a support, and it should be the reverenced as the endless. For the quarters of the heaven from which no here endless. Brahma in mind, a seat is a mind, and support is the space, and it should be a reverenced as a blissful, for which the mind is one experiencing bliss. Brahma is the heart, the seat is the heart, the support is the space, and it should be reverenced as the steadfast. The heart is a steadfast support. The conclusion is not clearly connected with the dialogue. It seems to be the break in the text, but it ends with the description of Atma, soul, the spirit, which is without the description of limit. Here it is to be noted that Brahma is an postulated manifest of force and psychical activities, that it had a seat in the sense organs and the mental organs. It has various qualities such as quality of intelligence, truthfulness, endlessness, blissfulness, steadfastness, and that it turns out to be the self without any limitation quality. All the statements are important, but it is indicating the development of conception of Brahma as a contrast with a later modification. The only other dialogues where the extended attempts is made. To arrive at the conception of Brahma exhibits a philosophy, the henothetic religion tendency of Indian minds, which elevates the God concept of immediate concern to the highest position, accepts it supreme and complete, only to turn to another and repeat the process. In Chand and the Narada, in search of saving knowledge, comes to Sanatha Kumara with the request, teach me, sir. Atithi Bhagavo. It is probable that it should be Sir declare Brahma. Atithi Bhagavo Brahma. The same request the Bhridku Varuni put his father in a similar progressive definition of Brahma. The latter, being bidden to declare his learning, enumerates 17 books and sciences, but they informed that they all teach in such knowledge. It's only the name, not however worthless, since the name is a part of Brahma and should be revered as Brahma. Indeed, he once who venerated names of Brahma has free swang so far as the name covers the name of Brahma, which however is of only slight extent. But there is more than a name, but a speech, that too its manifestation of Brahma, because it makes everything manifest, all the sciences, all object, all distinctions, but there is more than speech, the mental organs or the mind. For them embraces both speech and name. The self is mind. The world is mind, the Brahma is mind, and there is something more than mind is ideation. And there is will, samkalpa, the constructive facility. It is through the will that everything comes to existence. Again, through the will, definition of face of Brahma, there is something greater. Through verily, when one thinks, then he will and perform all the previously named process. So there is a given successive advantage over a previous conception of Brahma, and usually some reason for dependence of proceeding upon the succession. After thought follows meditation and understanding and strengthen food, water, heat, space, memory, hope, and breathe, life, everything is breathe. Further are the circuitous route the author leads to its immortal, unrestricted, indifferent, self-supported plane, which is below, above, before, behind, to the right, to the left, which is the whole universe itself. The next thought seems to be that since It is a spite of whom, where is below and above, the mind and the behind, the right and the left, and spine and the whom the whole world exists. Therefore, all these are themselves spite. Your spirit, Atma. The spirit alone is below, above, before, behind, the right, the left. The whole world is spirit. One of the spirit arise hope, one of the spirit arise memory, space, heat, water, appearance and disappearance, food, strength, understanding, meditation, thought, will, mind, speak, name, sacred verses, religious work, which previously was defined part of Brahma. Indeed, the whole world arise out of the spirit. One more reference will show the matter of progress in the development of conception of Brahma, which has now has reached, the namely that it was the one greatest reality, present both objective phenomena and the self activities. Chand. One should um, reverence the mind as Brahma. This is the reference to the self. Now the reference to the divinities who operate the different departments of the nature. One should reverence space as Brahma. That Brahma is four quarter. One quarter is speech, one quarter is breathe, one quarter is eye, and one quarter is ear. This is the reference of the self. Now the reference to its divinities. One quarter is Agni, one quarter is Vayu, wind, one quarter is Aditya, the sun, the one quarter is the quarter of the heaven. This is the twofold instruction which refers to self and which refers to the divinities. The two stages are analyzable in the progress thus far. The necessary of the universe instead of the particulars, the world ground led to theory which postulated the world ground that embraces all phenomena as part and so which gradually identifies everything in the world ground. It is felt that this world grounds was some sense of soul, correlated with the finite ego. The two tendencies will now further traced. According to the earlier theory of Brahma, it is which that this primary entity which procreate the world which somehow a part of Brahma. Thus, they having created it, it is entered. Tat or Chand and speaks of the original existent after it has procreated the heat, water, and food. The divinity thought to itself, come, let me enter those three divinities heat, water, and food with this living soul and separate out name and form. With the development of the concept of Brahma away from the earliest form, that is, from the influence of the early cosmogonies, through the pervading all mentioned in this previous paragraph, the general enlargement and universalization of the concept led to the thought of being all. So the world was identified in Brahma. It is a different sense from which it is implied. Verily, in the beginning, the world was Brahma. The world, according to the developed conception, it is not emanation of the original being that was called Brahma, nor strictly the past construct of artifact Brahma, the Kaushya, nor yet it is to be regarded as an pervaded by Brahma as by something not itself. As in, he entered in here, even to the fingernail tips. A razor would be hidden in the razor case, a fire in the fire holder, that's a firewood. Prahi. But here now, verily the whole world is Brahma. Section of Chandogya is quoted in the first clear statement, the pantheism, which has been latent in the previous conception of Brahma and relation of the world to it. Later, the pantheism was made explicit and remaining so through the rest of Upanyas, where the thought Rushas, the Brahmas, actual is everything. There's a swan, is the sun, it's very clear. Ashu, the atmosphere, the priest of altar, the guest in the house, in the man, the broader space, the right, Ratha, and the sky. The born in the water, born in the cattle, born in the right, born in the rock, this is the right, the great. Brahma indeed is immortal. Brahma before, Brahma behind to Brahma right, Brahma to left. Stretch forth before and below and above. Brahma indeed the whole world, the widest strength. The true for truly everything there is Brahma. The for the exposition of the development of the pantheistic conception of the world, the merging of all objects. The phenomena of a unitary world ground has been processed emphasis. For this seems to have been the first stage. Objective phenomena was the one which is the first area of attention and demand explanation. But the Savitashvatra is the beginning. It's recounting the various speculation theories states explicit there is another important factor, namely the existence of the soul, which cannot be lumped in the material object. But the presence another and more difficult factor philosopher who would find the unitary ground that shall include the diverse objects and subjectives. A lead over to what status appears as to second stage of development, the conception of Brahma, the whole ground, namely that it is some sense of soul co-related with the finite ego.